Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, December 8th, 2017. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Electric vehicles have proven themselves to be superior to their internal combustion rivals and are well suited for SVG and Vincentions. That's according to Energy Officer Leishan Monrose of Promoting Access to Clean Project, PACES, as she spoke at a workshop held earlier this week, highlighting the results of tests conducted on an electric vehicle to determine its compatibility to SVG. Monroe said, given the data received, it shows that these vehicles can adequately maneuver through SVG's terrain, both in terms of the hilly topography as well as the winding nature of the road network.
Our electric vehicle, the Nissan Leaf, was tested all over St. Vincent. It went as far as the geothermal sites in Soufrière and all the way up to Richmond, and it returned with sufficient charge. So there is no doubt that the electric vehicle can handle our terrain. Up to yesterday, we took our electric vehicle up that hill. Mr. Deacon, what's the name of the hill?
It's Morris Hill.
Morris Hill. We went all the way up there through Queens Drive and out to Annesville. And the electric vehicle handled the curves, it handled the terrain, it handled the elevation very, very well. So there is no doubt that it could handle our terrain.
Monrose added that in comparison to the internal combustion variants, the electric vehicle is more cost-effective than most of the vehicles present in use here.
In terms of range, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our electric vehicle performs similarly to what the US EPA benchmark for their performance. Their Leafs, Nissan Leaf, performed at 107 miles for range, and ours was similar in 108. Compared to an ICE of similar size, the Toyota Yaris, we could see that the ICE has sufficiently more range. However, for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 108 miles is more than sufficient.
The PACES project officer took the opportunity to highlight a feature of the electric vehicles which improves its overall energy use.
Furthermore, electric vehicles have this regenerative braking system where when you use your brake, it cycles power back into the battery. So it doesn't matter that you go up a hill and you use 10 kilowatts. By the time you go down the hill on the other side, you will be putting power back into your battery, which would extend your range. In terms of fuel economy, electric vehicles are superior in terms of efficiency. So the electric vehicles would give you 121 miles per gallon equivalent, while a Yaris would only give you about 32 miles per gallon. And it's also more expensive to operate an ICE at 46 cents per mile, while an electric vehicle would only cost you about 22 cents per mile.
European countries such as Italy and France are key markets worth tapping into to bring in more visitors to SVG. According to Chief Executive Officer of the SVG Tourism Authority, Glenn Beach, these nations are excellent to explore as their nationals travel more around the off-season. Beach said although the British market is an expensive venture, that region is still being looked at.
We've looked at chartering flights out of England also, and we continue to look at it. But to even break even, it would cost us, we would have to charge people £1,300 return from England. Right? But it's something we're still speaking to the main ones, Virgin and BA. There's a good possibility of something coming in next year. once certain things fall into place. But and as I said before, out of the ABC countries, America, Britain, and Canada, I really wanted to see something happen with England, with Britain most of all, just because I think in the construction of the airport, you know, the diaspora in England really, I think, I could be correct, I could be wrong, but if I'm remembering, I think they raised the most money for in the construction of Argyle and so on, and they've really been there with us all the way. So it's something that we're still working on, but it's a bit more difficult with England than it is with the United States and Canada.
As it relates to the yachting sector, the Tourism Authority CEO said, so far this area has shown increase close to 2%.
To a new market, it's not as simple as just going into a new market and advertising. You have to have at least a 3-year plan.
Yes.
And obviously going into a new market is going to take more resources than you would normally need if you're just maintaining that market. But yeah, I mean, there are other markets that we're looking at going into. Italy and France are two of the markets that hold a lot of potential for us, especially because of their sailing. But not only because of their sailing, but a lot of their vacation time is during our off season. If I'm remembering the numbers correctly, the yachting is up a bit. A concern I have with the yachting, though, I don't think we get the proper numbers for yachting. I actually think we get more yachts than we see recorded and so on, and it's something that we have to meet with customs and immigration on. I think there are a lot of figures that we lose within that yachting industry. But as it is right now, I think we're up in the yachting sector by about 1.5% compared to last year.
With tomorrow, December 9th, being 2 years since the Unity Labour Party was re-elected into office, the party's General Secretary, Julian Francis, is emphasizing the importance of winning an election at the polls. Francis, who was speaking on Star FM recently, said that the opposition New Democratic Party is crying foul that there were irregularities in the December 9th, 2015 elections because they didn't put in the work to win at the polls.
Is not won in the courts. An election is not won in the courts. You can file a petition and maybe a ruling on the petition and so on, but it doesn't give you government. You have to win government in the polling stations, on the street, in the different constituencies. NDP won't get it through the court. And the way they're carrying on. That is why the people of this country don't have the confidence in these fellas. That's why the majority of persons, over 3,500 persons more, voted for the Unity Labour Party more than who voted for the NDP. We increased it from 2010 to 2015 when they thought we were on our way out. The graph swung back up.
The NDP claimed after the December 9th, 2015 general elections that there were irregularities in the general elections, and a case is currently in the court with 2 petitions. The matter is expected to resume on Tuesday, December 12th at the High Court in capital Kingstown. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is among heads of government of the Caribbean community CARICOM attending the 6th CARICOM-Cuba summit today, Friday, December 8th, in Antigua and Barbuda at the Candlelight Resort in St. Mary's. The meeting will be co-chaired by the chairman of CARICOM, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell of Grenada, and the President of Cuba, Raul Castro. CARICOM and Cuba have enjoyed 45 years of diplomatic relations, and it is expected that today's meeting will examine issues of regional and international importance, including climate change adaptation and disaster risk management. According to a release from the CARICOM Secretariat, a Memorandum of Understanding will be signed between the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, and Cuba's Agency for Civil Defense, which will provide opportunities for closer collaboration, especially following the devastating impact of the September 2017 hurricanes across the region and the increased focus on climate change resilience. Prime Minister Gonsalves is accompanied by Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Sustainable Development, Camilo Gonsalves, Minister of Education, National Reconciliation, Ecclesiastical Affairs and Information, St. Clair Jimmy Prince, and Ambassador to Cuba, Ellsworth John. based on the idea of educating students in 4 disciplines, namely science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, in an interdisciplinary and applied approach. STEM education is seen as a critical way for students to understand, explore, and engage the world, after which they would have the capacity to change the world. In this light, the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown, Barbados, hosted a STEM video competition, which saw secondary school students throughout the Caribbean over the age of 13 submitting videos showcasing why STEM science, technology, engineering, and math is important in their community. 4 fifth form students from the St. Vincent Girls High School won the competition from among the participating schools here and were earlier today presented with their award by a delegation from the U.S. Embassy. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
Aimed at promoting science, technology, engineering, and math or STEM education as a driver of sustainable economic growth and as a means to foster innovation and empower the youth, the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown has recently concluded its 2017 STEM video competition, which required students to produce a short video explaining why STEM is important in their community. Earlier today, a delegation from the embassy was on hand to present the local winners of the competition, a quartet from the St. Vincent Girls High School, along with their supervising teacher with their awards, which included a Celestron telescope, books, and other STEM-themed items for the school's science department. At the handing over ceremony held at the school grounds, Public Affairs Officer James Rodriguez, in presenting the grand prize package on behalf of the embassy, pointed out that the embassy strongly believes in the rolling out of STEM education.
It fuels economic growth, innovation, and it empowers youth, both here and around the world. So earlier this year, to show how important STEM was to us, we asked all over the Caribbean, we said, we'd like you to produce a 1-minute video to tell us why STEM is important in your life. And the results were great. And obviously, the St. Vincent Girls School won. They produced the best video.
Congratulating the winners for their job well done, Rodriguez further urged all students to develop a passion for STEM initiatives.
Thank you so much for allowing the school to participate, and the supervising teacher, Mr. Lenski Adams, for mentoring the group, and all the teachers and administrators here that played an important role. And this is an outside initiative, so it really was something special. It is a girls' school, and there is a dearth of women in these sciences. We need you to study STEM and push forward with this, because you need more representation of women in these fields. It's very important. And I want you also to continue with the education. Don't stop. If this is something you're interested in, keep pushing forward. You can do it.
The winning video was submitted by 5th form students Kalisa Peters, Ariana St. Louis, Tamika Gloucester, and Alyssa Patterson, who were supervised by his physics teacher Lenski Adams. It showcased creatively how STEM advancements led to enhanced communications and improved the dissemination of critical information, such as extreme weather advisories to local residents here in SVG. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Organized by social activist Asbert Williams in his effort to raise awareness about the rising scourge of domestic violence, a series of panel discussions continued yesterday at the St. Vincent Girls High School, where students were sensitized on the issue. Outlining various provisions provided through the 2015 Domestic Violence Act, lawyer Zita Barnwell said the new piece of legislation is an improvement when compared to the Domestic Violence Summary Proceeding Act, as it provides a more detailed provision for the protection of minors. Differentiating between discipline and abuse, Barnwell, who serves on the opposition bench in Parliament as senator, said it is the obligation of all parents and the state to protect the well-being of all minors.
Happiness, comfort, safety, not have to worry, all of these things come under for your protection. Abuse does not necessarily have to be happening over a very long period of time for it to be considered abuse. Because this piece of legislation actually says, even if someone sees a trivial, even if someone sees it as a one-off incident, the court can give you protection under this act. And protection in the sense that through your parents or through a lawyer, you can go to the family court because you're a minor, to make an application for, you know, some of you heard about a TV called restraining order, but as children, however, as minor, you still are covered under this act.
Banwell further urged the young girls gathered at this session to value themselves and take a stand against domestic violence and abuse.
Part of you protecting yourself and part of you understanding that no one has a right to abuse you, to touch you, to speak ill about you, or to intimidate and humiliate you, you feel bad about it, is that you don't allow it because you love yourself first. Agreed? Yes. Agreed? Yes. So let's hear it.
The Ministry of National Mobilization will culminate its 16 days of activism with a candlelight march and rally in the Bible area on Sunday the 10th December. The 16 days awareness drive was held across the islands under the theme Leave No One Behind, End Violence Against Women and Girls. The purpose of Sunday's rally, according to the ministry, is to sensitize the communities about domestic violence and suggest approaches to reduce it through preventative and curative approaches. The march would start at the Bible Government School grounds and end with a rally to be held on the bridge from 6:30 p.m. The rally is expected to hear addresses from a community activist, a representative from the Attorney General Chambers, a survivor of domestic abuse, and Area Representative Minister Frederick Stevenson. In addition to the speeches, there will be cultural performances in dance, songs, steel pan. The Gender Affairs Division will present a short video in the form of a slideshow, and a special prayer would be offered. Persons who will be taking part in the event are encouraged to wear orange or purple, as these colors represent the awareness drive. The orange is the universal color of heightening awareness for ending domestic violence, and the purple represents the bruises and hurt sustained by way of the abuse. Vincentians with musical talent are being encouraged to get on board and become a part of SVG's first orchestra. The call comes from director of the Themes String Quartet, Ruth Ann Lewis, in an interview with SVG-TV News. Lewis said the group, which is made up of 4 members, has hopes of expanding into a full orchestra.
We started just last year. We had our first tour between Mother's Day and Father's Day of this year, 2017, and we played in several churches, and we're very well received. We don't discriminate by denomination or anything, but we do enjoy playing in many other venues. Last week we were able to play at the Logo Ship, and we're very proud to be there, and we hope to continue to play in the future, and we enjoy sharing our music with others. So that's what we do. And we hope, of course, that as we continue to be a part of the community and show what string instruments can do, that members of different music classes and who study string instruments will be willing to become a part of this group. We hope that this group will expand and become an orchestra in SVG.
Lewis will soon be conducting auditions, adding that they're looking for talented, dedicated individuals.
People who are really serious about playing their instrument, who really want to experience this, and not just people who say, well, we're not sure, you know. We want you to be able to come by and play for us and say, yes, I'm really serious about doing this. And we will have another audition call in January that most likely will be aired over radio as an announcement to let you know this is when we're going to have our auditions. And all the details would be in that announcement. The biggest challenge outside of that would be basically that level of dedication, being able to come by and play at different churches or different venues on a last-minute basis sometimes. And eventually what we want to be able to do is have a concert with a lot of people involved. So that would mean that you have to be able to practice. You have to be able to be with us and practice and so on. So that is the thing when you're coming to audition. Know that you have practice times. Know that you're expected to be there, have your music ready and so on.
The members of the group took the opportunity to highlight their talent and versatility.
So we play a variety of music, classical of course. of course have to play certain important pieces of music, like the national anthem. And a lot of fun songs